What's going on, everybody? Welcome to West Nail Virus. We are your hosts, Caleb Nail and Josiah West. We got a lot to get to today, a lot of sports to cover. First, Josiah, how was the weekend, man?
It was pretty good. It was a pretty good weekend. Didn't have any Georgia football this weekend, so that's unfortunate. But
hey,
other than that, good weekend.
You and me both, man. Fresno State was on a bye. Georgia was on a bye. No Bulldogs to watch. Mississippi State played, but that was a really boring game. 7-3, Arkansas. Disappointing as usual. Sam Pittman, is he going to have a job in a couple weeks?
No, probably not.
Yeah,
unfortunately, no. But also maybe fortunately, because we'd love to have him back at Georgia coaching our offensive line. Nobody's going to be complaining about that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, welcome everybody to the show. If you are new, excuse me, I cover the West Coast, Josiah covers the East Coast, and we meet right in the middle to cover the flyover states. Do people get offended when they say that? I saw something that like 80% of people live east of the Mississippi in the United States, and then the rest of the percentage lives on the other side of the Sierra Nevadas on the West Coast. And then right in the middle makes up like 9%, maybe even less than 9% of the United States of America.
Yeah, it's a relatively sparsely populated zone, the Midwest.
Well, you can follow us wherever you are on X. I'm there at Caleb_GoDogs. Josiah is there, Josiah_WNV. And you can follow West Nail Virus there as well. Before we get there to the sports, we like to share a little bit of our faith with you. So we have our verse of the day coming from Matthew 6, verse 1. And we talk about it just a little bit, and then we get into sports. Be careful not to practice your righteousness in front of others to be seen by them. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven. So when you give to the needy, do not announce it with trumpets as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and on the streets to be honored by others. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret. Then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. That's Jesus talking to us. Josiah and I read that because it has bothered me for the past couple of years. All the people that do these things on social media and then post it to say, look at me, look at all the good things I'm doing for these other people.
Right.
There's no need to do that. Our Father in heaven sees what is done in secret, and your reward will be from him, which that is the best reward. Okay. And also give to the needy. All right, Josiah, we have a lot on the docket today. We're going to start with college football because we love college sports, and we're going to talk college football. We're going to get to NFL, MLB, and some soccer, and we even have some MMA stuff today, some fighting words. But let's start in Michigan. Yeah. So we missed Friday. There's a lot going on. I've been sick. Josiah was running around. We couldn't get it in. But it came out that Michigan has been or is being investigated for sign stealing. And I am convinced, and I think everyone else is, that the NCAA hates Jim Harbaugh. And the reason I say that is because every team in the country is trying to steal signs.
It's just part of the game.
Yeah. They said
what I don't understand is what's different about this one. I didn't look far enough into it.
Well, exactly, because who cares? Who cares? Apparently the NCAA does. They said they're sending guys to stadiums to steal signs. Look, Dion already said, look, all the coaches, and you know this if you're in sports or if you've ever coached at any level, high school level too. If you're a coach, you ask other teams for film. They give it to you. You ask other coaches what you think you can do against them to be successful. That's what you do as a coach. You send scouts and everything to other games. And if you and your team are getting signs stolen from you, that's your fault. You need to be doing a better job mixing up your signs. You should be changing these things all the time. If people are figuring it out, that's on you.
I don't get it, man. I mean, after the burger thing, you would have thought they would have left them. They would have left them alone a little bit, but no.
They have a vendetta against Jim Harbaugh in Michigan. They want him to go back to the NFL. They don't want him in a part of the NCAA anymore.
Yep, that's what it seems like.
Also, I should say the NCAA probably is not a fan of Michigan State right now. The whole Mel Tucker situation. Well, first off, Michigan blew out Michigan State, and we're going to talk more Michigan later and JJ McCarthy. But Michigan blows out Michigan State, but before the game, a Michigan State staffer put a YouTube trivia video on the Jumbotron, and a picture of Hitler appeared. Michigan State then comes out and suspends the staffer because of a picture of Hitler on a YouTube video, trivia video that came on, which one? I believe that punishment was way too much. You need to know the situation, guys. But this is what Michigan State does. They did this with Mel Tucker. They're going to do this with anybody. But why is the staffer playing a YouTube trivia video on the Jumbotron before the game? What are you doing, bud?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. I don't understand how this situation even came up. Like, how do you get into a situation where you are playing a YouTube trivia game on YouTube, on your phone, on the Jumbotron, whatever, however they were doing it? I don't know. Basically, why is that on the Jumbotron? They should never be on the Jumbotron. And then, from Michigan State's point of view, in a sense, I get suspending the guy, but only if you already were communicative about, like, oh yeah, there's zero tolerance policy here in terms of messing up. If you show a Nazi on the screen, we're gonna suspend you. Which they probably didn't think to put that clause in his contract because
I think it's less about putting Hitler up there and more about why were you playing a YouTube video? Like, did you have authority to be doing that?
Yeah, exactly. I would guess that as well, that it's more about just that was an irresponsible use of school property. What are you doing? Right. And don't do that again.
Right. That's the only reason I would say it's okay to suspend them, because honestly, just there's a lot of people on planet Earth that have been bad. Hitler's one of the worst. I totally agree with that. But you're going to have to because of that, now you've set precedent. You're going to have to suspend people for putting even Americans on the board there. So, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's rough to suspend someone for something and then because it does create a standard where in terms of like, oh, well, if someone else accidentally puts something up on screen, even if we don't want to suspend him, now we kind of have to. So it's that I would. I mean, I wouldn't expect someone else to do that. I don't know how that situation came up once. I don't know how it would come up twice. But to Michigan State staffers, be smart.
No one at Michigan State is thinking. No one.
No.
Administration, when it comes to Mel Tucker, the staffers that work for them or that are running the stadium, no one is thinking. They need to start over at Michigan State. All right, let's get to some scores, and we're going to start, and we'll talk about some topics. We're going to start with probably the game of the week, the most exciting game around. That's Iowa, Minnesota. Minnesota won 12-10. We've been keeping up with Brian Ferentz and just like everyone else. They scored 10 points. There was only one touchdown scored in this game. One. And it was Iowa, actually, on a QB sneak at the goal line. This game was bad. First, let's talk about Brian Ferentz and his clause, and then we'll get to the game because something happened at the end of this game that is very controversial and I think a shame. We're going to talk about it. But after these 10 points were scored, Iowa now has to score 19.5 points a game. I did the math. I looked it up, Josiah. 19.5 points per game to meet Brian Ferentz's clause of, was it 25 points per game? So I don't think it's going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Are you sure it's not higher than 19? Because I will say this. I have only seen them hit 25 points 2 times all year.
I'm pretty sure it's 19.5. I could be completely wrong.
And I saw someone online saying that they needed to score 33 points per game in order.
Okay, I looked at it. This is because the defense has been scoring all their points, and they were accounting for the defense. So if you take away all the scores from the defense, I believe that's what it. You would. You're right.
Well, yeah, I don't know if that counts against him or not. So I'm not sure, but
either way, they're
either 19 points or 33 points. They don't score that many points very often. Brian Ferentz, I would say, has about a 90% chance of losing his job at this point. And there's a 100% chance that it would be better for everyone if he did lose his job and they moved on and he can go back to being a tight ends coach or a wide receiver coach or whatever he was before.
He's probably the best tight ends coach around. I mean, you have Kittle, Laporta, they're tight end all who's out for the rest of the season right now. He's a stud. And that is another thing to keep in mind. They are out. Their starting quarterback and starting tight end are out, all in McNamara. So,
yeah, well, it's not like their quarterbacks exactly perform at a high level. So,
well, this game,
we've been over that a few times.
Yeah, in this game, there was a punt return taken back by Cooper DeJean, and it was called back because they said that he called fair catch. Everyone that's watched the video, I'm sure you guys have, he did not call fair catch. He was telling everyone to get out of the way of the ball. It bounced. He picked it up. He picked it up on the Minnesota sideline. No one on Minnesota reacted like he had called fair catch and is now taking the ball back. No player on Minnesota gave up on the play. It's a joke, and the refs should be ashamed. The Big Ten needs to say something. Those refs need to probably have a pay cut, just like Brian. It's sad because Iowa's ranked 24. They needed those points. It's sad in that way, but only at Iowa do these things happen. You should never call fair catch as from a reffing standpoint. You should never say that they called a fair catch unless the hand goes above their helmet. He was pointing and doing like a circle motion with his finger.
Yeah, he literally had his hand out like this and he was doing this with his other arm. That's all. It was actually, I'm pointing up so the camera can see. It was down. It was here.
Right.
It was here. The ref had no business calling a fair catch on that. I don't get me wrong. I think Iowa is a travesty in terms of point scoring. Most of your points should never come from your defense. It's kind of pitiful. Now, if you can get points from your defense, do it, right? But like most of your points should come from your offense with some points from the defense. Unfortunately, Iowa doesn't work like that. But They almost had a good punt return, good special teams play, and the refs actually screwed them. So, yeah, the refs need to have a good talking to about that one. That didn't make any sense to me. I don't understand why that was called or how they justified that.
These refs probably aren't sleeping, that's for sure. But now in the Big Ten, in that side of the division, you have Minnesota over Iowa. You have Wisconsin, Nebraska. Is there any chance you think, because Wisconsin has taken over Iowa now, they're in the Big Ten West, they're leading. Who do you think wins that? Is there any chance Iowa gets back in it? They have 2 conference losses now after that loss to Minnesota. Or does this really hurt their chances of winning the Big Ten West?
I mean, this does really hurt. Sorry, I got something in my throat. This does really hurt their chances of winning the Big Ten West, but at the same time, if Wisconsin drops a game to, I mean, obviously to Ohio State probably next week, but if they drop a game to Nebraska or Minnesota, then Iowa still wins it because Wyoming lost to, Wisconsin, not Wyoming. My bad. Wisconsin lost to Iowa a few weeks ago, 15-7. And by the way, see, didn't hit 25. Lost 15-7 to them, and they're 3-1 in conference. So they need one more loss, and then Iowa's back in the lead in their side of the division. They're not going to any playoff games, I'll tell you that much. But they might have some things to celebrate if Wisconsin can drop a conference game, because, you know, a trip to the conference championship and then a bowl game plus losing Brian Ferentz. I mean, those are all things to celebrate about. Like,
oh man, yeah, they can still play spoiler to a couple teams. We'll stay in the Big Ten right now. Move to the East. You had Penn State, Ohio State play each other. Very sloppy game. Honestly, wasn't impressed with either team. That can happen, though, when 2 good teams play against each other. But I think the story that comes out of this game is that Michigan is the team to beat. They haven't played anyone on their schedule, but they've handled business. They destroy everybody. JJ McCarthy looks really good. Is there any chance, Josiah, that you see Ohio State or Penn State beating Michigan right now?
I think there's a chance. I think Michigan is the best team. I think there's a chance, and there's another team to watch out for. Maryland, is they're playing Penn State, Maryland, and then Ohio State. And Maryland is not a great team, but they keep it close with good teams. They almost beat Ohio State.
Offensively, they're good. Taulia Tagovailoa.
Yeah. Well, I shouldn't say they almost beat Ohio State, by the way. I was over exaggerating. But
they were in that game for the first half. If they put 4 quarters together, Maryland they're a good team. They can upset someone.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. After this next game, I think this upcoming week, Michigan has a bye week, and then they play Purdue, and then they have that 3-game run, and that will be the time to watch Michigan. Don't worry about them until the 11th of November. Don't even go watch the Purdue game. It's not going to be close. Michigan's going to win it. But Penn State, watch it. Maryland, if they didn't lose to Penn State, watch it. If they didn't lose to Maryland, watch the Ohio State game. It's going to be 3 interesting games. I think it could keep you on the edge of your seat. There's also a very good possibility they blow Maryland out of the water, right? But I mean,
I would think they would.
Worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah. I think if there is a chance of beating Michigan, I actually think it's going to be Penn State. Just the style of play, the matchups there, I think would be Penn State. Michigan has had Ohio State's number this whole time. I think they do things defensively that screw up the quarterbacks. And McCord at Ohio State, he hasn't been the quarterback that we necessarily are used to at Ohio State. And even those quarterbacks like the CJ Strouds and the Justin Fields of the world haven't figured out Michigan. So I think Penn State is the better shot at beating Michigan. However, right now, from what we've seen from Michigan, I don't think there's a better team in the Big Ten than Michigan. So I would put my money on Michigan winning. But shoot, we'll see. It's going to be fun, like you said. Let's move to the ACC, Josiah. The ACC had a huge upset. Virginia beat North Carolina. There goes Drake May's Heisman hopes. Unless somehow they come back and win the ACC. But now the ACC is wide open, other than Florida State. They're the second team. You had Miami beating Clemson this last week. You have Louisville, who's still a one-loss team. And then North Carolina, who's now one loss, but they look terrible after this Virginia game. Do you think anyone can beat Florida State in the ACC?
I mean, weirdly enough, the best chance might be Miami with their backup quarterback.
Yeah, Miami did that to Clemson with their backup quarterback. I watched this game. Miami looked good. I think Miami
did.
I think Miami has the best shot at taking out Florida State.
I mean, okay. Well, let's look at who Florida State has left, right? Out of Wake Forest, Pitt, Miami, I think those are the only three. I mean, Miami's the only one that's got a shot. They also play North Alabama and Florida. Florida could put together a good game, their rivalry week and somehow upset the Seminoles.
I mean, Graham Mertz,
it's very unlikely. It's to me, it's Miami or bust for Florida State,
right?
And I think they'll handle business. I honestly think Florida State will end up in the playoff. I do not think they're as good as some of the other undefeated, like really high quality teams. I would rather see Oregon and Washington in the playoff than Florida State.
Okay,
but that being said, you can't not let a 0-loss Florida State into the playoff, or else there's going to be a lot of hoopla. So that's what we're dealing with.
I totally agree. If Florida State wins the ACC, they're probably in. If they're one loss, they might be in too. I want to talk about Clemson, though. We've talked about Alabama a few weeks ago and how they've struggled. They had a good comeback win over Tennessee, but they struggled in the first half. But we haven't talked about Clemson. Clemson has not looked good. And Debo has not done well unless he's had an all-star quarterback in Deshaun Watson or Trevor Lawrence. DJU is actually playing well, though, at Oregon State. So we'll see. Maybe it's something going on in the coaching staff. But Cade Klubnik struggles. The play calling was bad. They lose to Miami in double overtime. And they went for 2, right, they had to. And it's just a terrible play call. And Miami ends up winning that game. Clemson looks so inconsistent and bipolar. Their defense can be one of the top in the country. And then they take a series off and they get mowed down by a backup quarterback at Miami. Their offense with Will Shipley and some good wide receivers and a decent quarterback in Cade Klubnik takes series off. And they turn the ball over and they make bad decisions. And then the next, they look like they're the number 1 team in the country. I don't know. I can't figure out this Clemson team. My best guess is their O-line struggled against Miami. That's what I'm going to put it on. But what is going on with Clemson right now, Josiah? Is it over for them too? I mean, it was over last year, but is it over? Are they going to get the studs that they used to get?
Honestly, I could see Clemson putting together one more good year with Debo there, but I expect to see the decline of Debo. Debo? I keep saying Debo. It's Dabo. My bad. Dabo.
Yeah, I didn't even put it together.
Whoops. The decline of Dabo. After this year, I expect them to get a few less recruits, have a little less success, happen a couple of times, and eventually all the big donors, all the people who want Clemson to be succeeding, they go, hey, this guy's not winning anymore.
Get him out of here.
Get him out of here. Get somebody else in here. And then we'll see, Kalen DeBoer move from Washington. Clemson will be good all of a sudden.
I don't think DeBoer leaves Washington after this year. There's no way.
I don't think he should. I do not think he should. It all depends on how badly things goes for West Coast football.
That's
I think West Coast football should be on the up and up with the new playoff system. It should help things out, so we're hoping for that.
But with conference realignment, it may not.
Yeah, this is a crazy time in college football. It's hard to tell what's going on. That being said, I think with Clemson, I think we're seeing the beginning of a sharp decline where Clemson, they were number one in the ACC for a little while there and no longer.
No go. Let's talk Pac-12 football. Let's talk West Coast football, Josiah.
Sounds good to me.
Bo Nix set the FBS record for most games started. No one will
funny ever headline.
No one will ever. No. It's 54. That's the number. He has 54 starts.
A lot of games. That's a lot of games.
And they beat Washington State. Washington State started off hot, but they couldn't hang with Oregon. And actually, the running game at Oregon was the one that carried them. Bucky Irving, 15 carries, 129 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's a stud. There's nobody. Cam Ward threw for 438 yards, and they couldn't keep up with Oregon. Oregon's good.
I mean, I think the headline here is not just Bucky Irving, but Bucky Irving and Jordan James. Bucky Irving had, as you said, 15 carries, 129 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's an average of 8.6 yards per carry. Their second string running back, Jordan James, had 13 carries for 103 yards. That's 7.9 yards per carry on over 12 touches. That's 15 touches and 13 touches, and they both had about 8 yards per carry. That's crazy. That Oregon O-line is killing it. Either that or Washington State's D-line is horrible. But Washington State's a pretty good team, so I think it's the former.
Yeah, Oregon's figuring it out. They're figuring it out. You can't guard both. They're going to spread you out. Bo Nix is very capable of throwing the ball all over the field. We saw against Washington, and now they know once we spread you out, we can run the ball on you. And that's what they're going to do. So, Oregon's deadly. We say it every week. Oregon and Washington are the teams to beat. But, big but, thick but, Washington struggled against Arizona State. They probably should have lost. Michael Penix Jr., he threw for 275 yards and 2 interceptions. Now, let me start with this, though. Arizona State had a lot of injuries early in the season. I've watched their defense against Fresno State. Their defense is pretty good. Their D-line is no joke. And they do a lot of different things up front with blitz packages and the way they disguise coverages and things like that. They do a decent job. So I understand the struggle that Penix and Kalen DeBoer had. But this Washington team has proved to us that they can play with the best And so our expectations are way higher than a 15-7 win at Arizona State. And Arizona State had an opportunity to go down and tie this game up or even take the lead. And they didn't take advantage of it because I thought poor play calling. Run the ball. Scattaboo, who is your stud running back at Arizona State, run the ball with him. He had a great game. Or throw him another swing pass. They didn't. Washington ends up winning this game on a 90-yard pick six. That's Washington had to win this game defensively.
Crazy.
And that's why I say your play calling needs to change. You're successful running the ball, run the ball. And they were in the red zone. Run the ball, ASU, and you probably win this game. So,
yeah, I mean, I'll say this as someone who watched the Atlanta Falcons lose a 29-3 lead to the Patriots because they refused to run the ball with their all-star freaking running back, Devontae Freeman. At the time, he was really good. He's not that good anymore. I think he's retired. But at the time, he was really good. And he was doing really well when they ran it, but they didn't run it. And also, by the way, the Seahawks against the Patriots, everyone's just selling the game against the Patriots, refusing to run the ball in freaking Super Bowls. I swear Belichick's paying off the opposing offensive coordinators or something. It's insane. It doesn't make any sense. But anyways,
too much film. These college coaches are watching too much film in the pros. This is why I tell the high school kids when I coach basketball, do not watch the pros. Do not watch the pros. Watch college basketball.
Not the same game, dude. It's not the same game.
Run the ball. No one remembers you running the ball 4 times and not getting it. Everyone remembers you throwing the ball in a short field situation, throwing a pick six, or throwing an interception, or throwing 3 incompletions. But no one will remember you running the ball 4 times in a row. Just run the ball, especially when you've been successful all night. And when you have a stud running back. Like a stud that can run through and carry 2 to 3 guys. That's what you do. Okay? You get paid. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Washington, though, struggled. I think Penix Jr. might have ruined his Heisman chance. Maybe. We'll see. If they win the Pac-12, they're still undefeated, so he'll still get talked about. But it really hurt Penix.
Right. Well, my thing is, who else is going to win the Heisman, right? I mean, it's not going to be Drake May. He just lost. It's not going to be Caleb Williams. He's lost twice now. And
yeah, we're going to get to that game next.
Yeah. And it's not going to be Bo Nix. He lost to the team Michael Penix plays for. So, who has the best shot now? Is it Carson Beck from Georgia? I mean, I don't think so, but I've heard some people throw him in the conversation recently ever since Bowers has gone down. I would still pick Penix for it, even though he did have a very bad game this week. I think if you look at his yearly stats, it's still looking good for him.
I think
it'll be interesting to see the upcoming few weeks.
I think you have to throw in JJ McCarthy right now.
That's fair.
People don't want to because of their schedule, but shoot, he threw for 287 yards and 4 touchdowns against Michigan State. So I think you have to talk about him. Marvin Harrison Jr. started slow. It's going to be interesting to see how he finishes the season and the numbers he puts up. But against Penn State, who was supposed to have this great defense, he put up 162 yards and a touchdown. So I think now you have to start talking about Marvin Harrison Jr. I think it's going to be really hard for a non-QB to win the Heisman, though. Then you have Jordan Travis, undefeated Florida State quarterback. Maybe him. I agree with you. Michael Penix Jr. is the guy right now. But at number 2, I'm going to put Dylan Gabriel from Oklahoma. He has the win over Texas, and he looked really good. I know they struggled against UCF this week. He threw for 253 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he did have 1 interception. But I think Dylan Gabriel is the next guy on the list, and he's doing it on the ground too. gosh, we even talk about, Drake May lost to Virginia, but he's putting up big numbers. And so how much are the voters going to take the loss into account? I mean, North Carolina's defense was bad. They couldn't stop Virginia. It's hard to win a game when the opponent scores 3 more points.
It's definitely hard to know. We're not the Heisman voters. So, don't ask us the question exactly. But I do think that a bad game does hurt a Heisman winner's chances a lot. And losing a game hurts a Heisman winner's chances a lot, especially when you're comparing him to, 3 other possibilities who have similar stats, but none of them lost the game.
Right.
So,
yeah. And I'm interested to see how Carson Beck does in the future. And that's why this Heisman talk is a lot of fun, but it's like rankings to me. I don't want to talk Heisman. And actually Heisman, I don't want to talk Heisman until even later in the season, till conference championship time. Then we'll talk about Heisman.
I think that's fair. Realistically, that's fair.
Because that's the thing with the Heisman is that you have to put the full product together and then present it to the voters. And whoever has that best product is going to win the Heisman most of the time, unless you're on the West Coast and they don't watch you. So that's what's going to hurt Michael Penix Jr., Christian McCaffrey. All right. Anyways, I will always, for the rest of my life, be salty about that.
That's understandable, but I think that Michael Penix has a better shot at getting a fair chance than McCaffrey did. McCaffrey should have won it. Don't get me wrong. But I think Penix is more in the limelight than McCaffrey was for some reason. Right. That being said, moving on to the USC game. That game was a surprise and fun. I will agree. Utah comes down. Their quarterback scrambles for like 30 yards, goes down with 5 seconds left in the game. They hit a field goal to win it all. It's a crazy game. Caleb Williams, who's obviously the highlight player of this game, he did okay, right? Like he had 256 yards passing, and I believe he had a rushing touchdown. Yes, he did. But he had no passing touchdowns. He overall did pretty well, but Utah was able to defeat them. And Utah threw an interception, whereas they did not. So USC did not. So losing the turnover or winning the turnover battle and losing the game is always a rough look.
And it was a pick six.
Yeah. So it's not even like, oh, they didn't make anything of it. It's like, no, the defense gave you an out and didn't take it. So
I think my highlight from this game is a player called Sione Vaki. Sione Vaki is a two-way player for Utah. He plays safety and running back.
And Travis wide receiver.
Yeah, right. He had 5 receptions for over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns.
150 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. He's a beast. And I think it's now time people start talking about him. Shoot, we talked about Heisman a second ago. Put his name on the list for non-QBs. Vaki is a stud. And I will say another thing about USC. They cannot figure out Utah. Whittingham, the coach at Utah, has Lincoln Riley's number. They will not lose to USC, even with their backup quarterback in, Barnes, who I liked. He had a good game. Other than that pick 6, I thought he did fine. And now my question, and I saw this all over social media, but we have to talk about it, Josiah, is does Caleb Williams finish the season? Like there was talk at the beginning of the season that Caleb Williams, whatever team picks him, he wants ownership in the team. He But if he doesn't like the team, he's going to stay in college because the NIL money's too good. Now, if they're not performing at a high level, which I don't think they are, they can't beat a team against a good defensive team. They can't. Does Caleb Williams stay in, risk injury, risk money, risk his draft stock to play, and make the LA Bowl? I don't know. And make a bowl game, and then he's just going to sit out of the bowl game.
I would not appreciate him sitting out the rest of the year. That would seem ridiculous to me. There's like 5 games left. Like, if I'm an NFL owner, I wouldn't like that. That's but the thing is, unfortunately, that's just the way the NFL is. Where the way the NFL works is it's all about money. There is no loyalty to team. There's no loyalty to player. Like, the team has no loyalty to their players. The players have no loyalty to their team because it's all about money. Who can make the most money and where? And that's all the NFL is about now. And it's no longer just about good football. And
when it comes to players, I think to some people, I think the players care about their teammates.
Their players care about their teammates, and the players I think players have loyalty to teams, but teams have zero loyalty to players. Right. So if a player lacks loyalty to the team, a more pragmatic or realistic owner would be like, well, that makes sense. He's just trying to make some money. I'm trying to make some money. I'll still draft him until he stops doing well for me, and then I'm going to get rid of him immediately. He throws too many interceptions one year. I'm shipping him to the Browns.
I know. But as an owner, I don't even want to draft. Even as a head coach, I don't want to draft someone that gave up on their team. But I'd rather take the number 2 or 3 quarterback that stuck the season out than draft the guy that said, I don't want to get injured. I want to make sure I make my money in the NFL. I would rather take the guy that stuck it out. I don't know.
I mean, I'll tell you this. There's one guy I can think of that sat out in his entire senior season just to prepare for the NFL draft. Jamie Newman. He played quarterback at Wake Forest, had an amazing year, looked so good. He was a 2-way quarterback. He could run, he could throw. He looked really good. Well, he transferred to UGA, and everyone was excited for him to play. He decided to sit out his senior year to prepare for the NFL draft. I believe that was 2 years ago or 3 years ago. I'm not sure, but he either got drafted really late or went undrafted, and I do not believe he's on an NFL roster. It's not a great look, and the best way to prepare for the NFL draft is get more highlights, get more film, get out there and play the game. I don't see a reason for him to not play. I mean, I see the reason, but I think it would be dumb.
He's put together good film already. I think that's the reason why. And I get it. Right. You're going to make more money if you don't get injured. I don't want to mean to beat dead horse, but I would be very disappointed in Caleb Williams. At the same time, here's the other thing we're going to talk about. Lincoln Riley can't figure out how to win games. Lincoln Riley has had Caleb Williams, Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts. He can't even win a college football playoff game. There's something wrong.
I mean, they looked spotty against Arizona State. Arizona State gave them a game. Colorado almost beat them. Arizona got even closer to beating them, and then they lost 2 games in a row to Notre Dame and then Utah. Next week they're playing Cal, then Washington and Oregon, and then UCLA. They could easily drop all 3 of those last 3 games.
No, they're going to lose to UCLA. They will lose. UCLA defensively is like Utah, studs, and they are they're going to be a competent offense. You know, we've seen their young quarterback struggle at times. That's at the end of the season. They're going to be just fine. And they smoked Stanford.
I'm down with it.
It's not big, but anyways, I think they're going to lose all three of those games: Washington, Oregon, and UCLA. And then USC ends with 5 losses. They're going to go 7-5. And then Lincoln Riley's gone. Caleb Williams either transfers because he makes a bunch of NIL money or goes to the NFL draft. And I think Caleb Williams transfers. I don't think he goes to the NFL draft because he will make more money off of NIL.
I honestly think he just stays at USC. I just think he stays at USC, plays one more season. Lincoln Riley craps the bed again somehow, and then
I think Caleb Williams transfers to Iowa and resurrects the offense. Just kidding.
Oh my gosh, that would be crazy.
All right, let's get to some G5 schools. Air Force played Navy, and they beat them 17-6. That game was very slow. It was a slow death. Just put it that way. It's just triple option all day. But I mean, Navy they throw the ball.
Gosh, one of the worst things to watch in football.
But Navy, they line up in shotgun and they do some things differently. But Air Force, it just kills you by a million cuts, and you slowly die. And their defense is very strong. They're a good team. I believe they're top 20 now after this latest AP poll. I'm as a Fresno State fan, this is the best team in the Mountain West. I'm worried about this team. You know, our goal is always Mountain West Championship. We're going to need some help from people, but whoever makes the Mountain West Championship is going to have to play Air Force. Air Force is clearly the best team in the Mountain West. I just don't see anyone in the Mountain West right now beating them unless, you know, Fresno State or UNLV actually, who is 6-1 right now, can figure it out offensively and beat this defense. But Air Force is a good, strong team. They're playing at a high level. They're going to beat whoever they play in the bowl game because one, a lot of guys sit out in the bowl games, and Air Force, nobody's going to do that. So this Air Force team is deadly, man.
Yeah. It's a very good, very, very good team, and they have a very, very good chance of winning the Mountain West, making a New Year's Six bowl.
I agree.
Definitely Fresno State's scariest opponent left that, you know, is possible.
Right.
But
no, we got to make it. We got to make it there first.
Yeah. That being said, slightly not Group of 5 news, but
okay.
Quinn Ewers hurt.
Yes.
He's going to be missing out probably 2 weeks. They play BYU and Kansas State. Do you think they can win those games without Quinn Ewers?
Yes, I do. I think their defense will handle BYU, and offensively, they don't have to do much to beat BYU. They can beat and Brooks, their running back, I believe is his name. He's very good. They're going to be just fine. And then who's Kansas State. Kansas State could be tough. Now, Kansas State isn't the Kansas State of last year, but you can't overlook them. With Will Howard there at quarterback, he could beat you both ways, and they're going to need to be on their A game that game. But do they lose? No, they're going to win both games.
I think that's about right. And unless you have anything else left.
I got one more. Tulane, North Tech. Tulane looks good, man. They were in a shootout against North Texas, but gosh, I like Tulane. I mean, Tulane and Air Force. Also, welcome to the AP Top 25. James Madison. James Madison is finally getting some love.
Let's go. Going to a bowl game, baby. Oh, wait.
Yeah, NCAA stuff.
Dang it.
All right. we could bash on NCAA all night long. Let's talk about NFL, Josiah. I want to talk about.
We could also bash on the NFL all night long. So
here, let's do it. Let's bash on the Raiders a little bit. Raiders got smoked by the Bears 30-12 yesterday. Raiders suck.
They're terrible, dude. They're terrible.
Brian Hoyer, I think, threw 2 interceptions, then got pulled, and Aiden O'Connell came in. They couldn't do anything. They lost
and an interception.
Yeah, they lost to Tyson Bagent, Division II quarterback, went undrafted. He played well. I like Tyson, and I'm really happy for him. But the Bears are really bad. And if you're a Raiders fan, your team's even worse. I'm sorry. Devontae Adams got, what did he get? 5 receptions? 7 receptions?
7 receptions.
Yeah. And
for 57 yards and no touchdowns.
That, Raiders and owners and coaches, this is what you get. I understand Derek Carr is struggling with the Saints, and he's not what he was hyped up to be right now at the Saints. But you went for Jimmy G, and you got exactly what Jimmy G is, injured. Then you went and got backup that's old in Hoyer because he understands the offense because he's been with McDaniels forever, but he's not great. And then you make the switch to Aiden O'Connell way too late, in my opinion. You might as well just play with Aiden O'Connell. Get him some reps. They are bad.
I could have told them that picking up Jimmy G wasn't going to work. In fact, I don't know if you guys remember this, but I said it wasn't going to work before it happened when it was rumored to be happening earlier this year or last year, whenever it was they picked him up. We were doing this show, and I said, I hate this. I don't think I don't think anyone should pick him up. If anything, he should be a backup because he can't play more than one game at a time or else he crumples like a wet paper towel. He falls apart at the seams, dude.
He does. It's bad. And the Raiders, you're in for a long season. Gosh.
If they're 3-4 right now, do you see them winning another game?
No. When you lose to the Bears, I thought the Bears were the worst team in the NFL at the beginning of the season. Now, the Bears are 2-5 after this win. And this was your best opportunity to get another win. You have a rookie quarterback.
Dude.
Oh.
The Bears are terrible, and they blew them out of the water, 30-12. 30-12.
Now, I know you didn't have, I know Devontae wasn't himself. He had a drop touchdown, which that never happens.
Okay,
but you know what that tells me?
Still,
yeah, it wasn't going to help you. But that tells Devontae's not in the right headspace. He doesn't want to be there.
Dude, everyone knows Davante Adams does not want to be in Las Vegas anymore. He came to play with his buddy, Derek Carr, from college. And look, I'm not saying Derek Carr played perfectly. I can understand why Davante Adams would have been a little frustrated when he was super excited to come play with his buddy, and then his buddy just didn't play very well. It happens, okay? Derek Carr's played for a long time. He's had some good time. He's had some good seasons. He's had some bad seasons. Maybe his heyday is behind him. Maybe not. Maybe he'll figure it out at the Saints. But what I do know is the Davante Adams, Derek Carr, Raiders experiment did not work out. Is that because of Derek Carr and Davante Adams? Maybe. Or maybe it's because of the horrible coaching. But
yes.
I think it's pretty evident that there is horrible coaching at this point, because if Davante Adams can't be effective under multiple back-to-back different quarterbacks, like you bring in Jimmy G and Davante Adams is good, but you're not winning games. Derek Carr, Davante Adams is good, but you're not winning games. You should be winning games. You have the best receiver in the game right now. You have one of the best defensive ends in Max Crosby. You had a bunch of other really good players. You shouldn't be losing to... Yeah, you're the worst team in the league. And I mean, I'm gonna run you through their season right now. Lions, they lose. Giants, they might win that. It's the only one left. Jets, I think they lose. Dolphins, definitely lose. Chiefs, definitely lose. Vikings, loss. Chargers, loss. Chiefs again, loss. Colts, loss. Broncos,
maybe.
I actually think loss. Maybe win, but they beat the Broncos first week. They play them last week. I have a feeling that Russell Wilson is going to anti-tank a little bit, so they can't pick Caleb Williams. He's gonna turn it on the last few weeks of the season.
Yeah, but at best, there's 2 wins in there.
Yeah, I mean, unless obviously like stuff happens, they're all professionals. If one team plays really bad, yeah, they could get a win. But realistically, on paper, they have 2 wins left in them, maybe.
It's such a joke. The Raiders can't figure it out. I can't believe I'm saying this. The Browns and the Lions figured it out before the Raiders.
Dude, it's crazy. Crazy to say. Do love the coach over there at the Lions, though. He is hilarious.
Oh, I love him.
But to move from your travesty team to my maybe slightly less travesty team, but it's not great. The Atlanta Falcons. They beat the Buccaneers this week, 16-13. Good job, Falcons. Good job.
Young game-winning field goal.
Dude, Younghoe Koo is amazing. Love that dude.
Young Ho, bro.
Yeah, it's Younghoe.
I know, but it's Young Ho.
No, I know. I understand. But could not have picked a much better replacement for I can't even remember his name now, but the longtime kicker that he was amazing for the Falcons. And now Younghoe Koo, dude, love that guy. He's carrying us to wins. But my question for the Falcons is, why did you draft Bijan Robinson in the first round, 8th pick, if you're going to give him what was it? 1 carry.
He's injured. I think he's injured.
He's injured? He better be injured. Dude, he better be so injured he can't move. 1 carry for 3 yards, wasn't even targeted in the passing game. Dude, that guy, that's not what you do with a first round. They said he has an illness. But you still rushed him once. Like, you used him. So if he's usable, I don't know, dude. I don't know. All I'm saying is the Falcons don't make a lot of freaking sense at this point.
No, even after the win, it was. I mean, beating the Bucs is a good win, in my opinion. The Bucs are on it.
It's not bad.
We're looking good, but Desmond Ridder fumbled 3 times, lost all 3. By the way, the Falcons fumbled 4 times total, fell on one of them. Desmond Ridder fumbled 3 of the 4 times. Yeah, and then you run the ball with Tyler Algier 21 times for 59 yards.
Remember how we were saying when running is working, run the freaking ball? When running isn't working, stop running the ball. Why is it? Yeah. Why, dude? I mean, the quarterback, okay, he went 19 for 25 for 250 yards. He didn't throw any interceptions. He didn't throw any touchdowns, but he didn't throw any interceptions. That's a lot of yards. I mean, it's not a crazy amount of yards, but it's a good amount of yards. That's not a bad quarterback day. Like, he was doing all right. He didn't throw any interceptions. He fumbled the ball a bunch of times. But, I mean, look, you just tell him, dude, be a little more careful with the ball. If you're about to get sacked, run, chuck it out of bounds. You know, throw it at Bijan Robinson's feet or Tyler Algier or whoever they had in there.
Yeah, I agree with you with the Bijan take that I think everybody is. Look at Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs, your 2 first-string running backs. You don't draft a running back in the first round. Tyler Algier was our 1,000-yard rusher last year. There's no need for you need a quarterback. you need a quarterback or an offensive lineman.
Quarterback, receiver. I mean, we got a good receiver. Drake London, he's actually pretty good. But yeah, offensive line, defensive players. I'd take some freaking defensive players, dude. We've got some good ones, but I'd take more. I'll tell you what.
No, the Falcons are not for real. They are, what are they, 4-3 right now? They're actually
4-3.
They're first in the division over the Buccaneers and the Saints, and then the Panthers. Terrible. This is the worst division in football right now. One of these teams is going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, I know. That's the crazy thing. And it might be the Falcons. I mean, it might be the Falcons. Which is the weird thing because they play the Buccaneers one more time and they still have to play the Saints twice. But both of those games, I mean, it's not going to be the Panthers. I'll tell you that. It's not going to be the Panthers.
No, but those games are coin flips.
They are. That's the thing is they're playing the Saints and they're playing the Buccaneers, and all 3 of those remaining games could go either way. So it could be the Falcons, could be the Bucs, could be the Saints. Who knows? The Saints obviously need to put some work in, get their offense working correctly. Now, if the Saints can get their offense, firing on all cylinders, they win this. They win this conference. No competition. Division, sorry, yeah, no competition. But if they can't, it's once again, it's just a coin flip. I don't know. It's a weird division for sure. I don't love what the Falcons are doing.
No, I don't think anybody does. I heard Shannon Sharp say this, and tell me what you guys think about this too. But he's talking about if it's not okay in a win, it's not okay in a loss. So you could play terrible and win the game. And that doesn't mean you should talk about, oh, well, we won the game. So because he was hearing a lot of that. And I've heard a lot of that with Fresno State. Like, oh, well, we won the game. And then Wyoming happened. Like, okay, well, there you go. Here we go. So if it's not okay in a loss, it's not okay in a win. And I agree. And the Falcons should not be okay with this performance. You have to get better. Even though they won, you cannot be okay with it. All right, let's move on to the Rams, the rest of the California teams. Rams lose to the Steelers. The Steelers had a controversial 4th down get called a first down on a Kenny Pickett QB sneak. He was definitely short, but they marked him past the first down marker, and then they ended up winning that game because all they need was that first down. But you can't rely on one play for the rest of the game. But I will say this, we've seen in college football and NFL, just the lack of quality calls from referees. I mean, it's just miss after miss after miss after miss. I know in the Central Valley, we are short on refs. Like, we need more of them. People don't want to ref anymore. And when you make calls like this, you don't want to be a ref when you go back and look at it. But you got to get these calls right, especially when you have replay. Right. Either way, Rams lose to the Steelers. This NFL season is so weird. It's just like college football season. The parity is crazy. I don't have much to say about this Rams-Steelers game. Josiah, do you?
No, I don't think there's much to say here. The Rams probably should have taken care of business, but they didn't. So,
Chargers get crushed by the Chiefs. Chiefs offense is back. And I hate to say this, now we're going to have to see Taylor Swift even more. I can't stand all of this stuff. We had a whole episode segment devoted to get her off the screen. But, oh my gosh, people keep tuning in. The Swifties are out in force.
I mean, I guess, admittedly, we're kind of contributing. We're talking about it, right? But, no press is good or bad press is good press, whatever the frick. Yeah, there it is. Any press is good press. But yeah, I mean, we're talking about it. That's what they want, I guess. Not really, though. What they really want is Taylor Swift fans to tune into games. They'll make a little bit more money for a few weeks. So, I mean, yeah, keep doing that till
football fans are going to tune in because the product on the field is good. And when the Chiefs are playing well with the best offense in the NFL, people are going to tune in.
Yeah,
especially to a Chargers game. We've talked about the Chargers, I think, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, when they played the Cowboys and they lost. Like these Chargers are overrated every year. They are so athletic and they always are hyped. But they're overrated every year. And week after week, they prove it to us. But people still...
I don't know what the Chargers are missing. I don't know what it is. I could not tell you for the life of me. But they're missing some essential piece that would take them from where they are to like an elite team. Because on paper, they have a good team. But they're missing something.
I think the main argument the main answer to that is we need a new coach. We need a new coach. We've tried that. The Chargers have worked. I'm not a Chargers fan. I say we, but I'm not a Chargers fan. I have no team in the NFL. But they switched coaches, and it hasn't changed. So I don't know. I'm with you, Josiah. I have no idea. Luckily for the Chargers, the AFC's beating each other up. They still might be able to sneak in there and get a wild card. We'll see.
I'll tell you how I would start fixing the Chargers. Rebrand and move, baby. We're moving to another city and we're getting a new logo with new colors and new uniforms because it's boring as crap to be a Chargers fan. Who likes that blue with the stupid lightning bolt? It's just a lightning bolt. No one knows what a charger is. It sounds like all you're there for is to charge other people's freaking phones. Like why are we talking? What are the Chargers? What are we supposed to be? How is that related to a lightning bolt? What is any of this? You have boring uniforms. You have boring everything. You have no fans in the stadium. Move to another city, rebrand, and then maybe we can talk about getting better.
All right, on to the next one. What's going on with Josh Allen? We talked last week about Josh Allen, Josiah, how he's inconsistent.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with him.
They just lost to the Patriots. And
That's
Josh
Allen,
Allen,
dude.
Josh Allen didn't have a good game. Once again, I got to listen to a press conference from Josh Allen. How we got to get better. It's unacceptable. Yeah, dude. I mean, he threw for 265 yards and 2 touchdowns. He did have 1 interception, but I don't know. Just throw the ball to Diggs. Dalton Kincaid was your leading receiver with 8 receptions. They can't run the ball. I mean, not many NFL teams can, but you think the Bills would be able to. Is there too much pressure on Josh Allen? What's going on? And then, or did the Patriots finally figure it out? Like they typically have strong defenses. Did they figure it out? I think if this is more a story about the Bills being so inconsistent, Josh Allen having too much pressure on him. I mean, 1, too much pressure on him as a QB, and 2, too much pressure on him as a quarterback. Like in the game, they brought a lot of pressure. The Bills, they're hurting, man. I don't believe in them. And that, you know what? The Jets might win this division. With a good defense, they might win this division. The Dolphins are the best team, but the Jets have a chance. I'm serious.
That would be crazy. That would be really crazy. Josh Allen. In defense of Josh Allen, his career stats are still pretty good. He has always performed well. He's having at least a bad few weeks. He's not been doing well recently. He's definitely taking a lot of risks, and they haven't been working out.
You said this last week, and then once again, he did it again.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. He's having a bad year or a bad while. Could he just get bad? Yeah. Yeah, he could, but it's he has been good up to this point. He has played good football every other year. Not good enough to win a Super Bowl, which, that's kind of the goal, but he's been good. We'll have to see.
Yeah,
I think that's the only thing I can really say.
They have to figure it out. You can't be a poor offense in that division with the Dolphins. You're gonna have to keep up with the Dolphins. You're gonna have to play probably, we got to play the Jets twice a year, and they have probably one of the top defenses in the league. They do. But speaking of top defense in the league, the Browns defense let up 38 points. They did win. They won 39-38, but they let up 38 points to the Gardner Minshew-led Colts.
Yeah. Hey, dude. Minshew mania, dude. I mean, Minshew.
They lost, but hey.
Look, they lost. I get that. But he played well. I'm happy to see my boy with the stash out there on the field again. Also, Jonathan Taylor's on the field again.
Yep. And so is Kareem Hunt.
Don't really care about that as much. Yes, Kareem Hunt's back on everyone's back on the field. Except Marlon Mack. He's nowhere to be seen. He's gone. Deshaun Watson, he's not there. Don't even bring sadness to my heart. But no, I was happy to see Gardner Minshew out there. Even got to see Isaiah McKenzie, longtime Bills player, Georgia football product. He took a rush for Indianapolis. I'll be honest with you. Until that moment, I didn't even know he was on the Colts. So, it was a good game. The Browns are a good team. They're a solid team. The Colts are an okay team, and Gardner Minshew did pretty good.
Are the Colts going to be? Are they going to win some games with Gardner Minshew?
Honestly, yeah, I think they will. I mean, first of all, if he plays for 2 more weeks or 3 more weeks, he gets to play the Panthers and the Patriots. And next week, he's playing the Saints. So he could beat the Saints. Absolutely. He will beat the Panthers. He probably will beat the Patriots. They did beat the Bills. But they've got some chances to win some games with Gardner Minshew, and I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, I think the next 4 or 5 games, there's a good shot for Gardner Minshew to really make a case for the starting job. Or I shouldn't say starting job, but just for him as a quarterback. If he wants to be a starter somewhere else, maybe with Anthony Richardson there, he's going to get the majority of starts when he's healthy. So, you have Saints, Panthers, Patriots, Buccaneers, Titans, Bengals, and then you get the Steelers, and then you play the Falcons, Raiders, Texans. There's really no team that's like, wow, that's a really good team. No team has really figured it out on their schedule yet. When you have the 4-2 Steelers, that's your best team on the schedule right now. You have a very good shot of winning out. The Colts, I think a Gardner Minshew-led Colts team could win out, honestly, against that schedule. Some people may disagree with me, but the Bengals are not the Bengals of past. They're not past couple seasons. The Steelers are. I don't think the Steelers are that great, even though they beat the Chargers or the Rams. Excuse me. See, somebody needs to move. Anyways,
right.
Colts have a good shot with Gardner Minshew, is what I'm trying to say. All right, and Lamar is back. By the way, can he keep it up? They destroyed a good Lions defense. Absolutely destroyed it. And I hate to say this. Lamar was hurting me in fantasy football. I traded him for Jared Goff. That worked out well for me.
I mean, I'll tell you this too. I tried to trade you Joe Burrow for Lamar. You didn't accept it.
Nope. No, I kept him in that league. In the other league, I traded for Jared Goff. bad decision on my part. But
you trading for Jared Goff and not for Joe Burrow? Not for Joe Cool?
Hey, man, but Lamar's back, and I think he's back for good. The Ravens are now a deadly team in the AFC. They have finally figured it out. If you can do that against the Lions defense, I think you can do that against almost any defense. We'll see when it comes to the Browns. They're going to have to play them in their division, but and they got to play the Steelers. So we'll see if he can keep it up in his division. But against the gosh, why am I going blank?
I don't know, but I will say this: the Ravens, when Lamar's on, to me, they may be the best team in the NFL.
Yes, yeah, I agree. I just had the ultimate brain fart ever of I said Lions 20 times, and then I couldn't even think of it. Yeah, no, I agree. Lamar's back, and he's gonna be just fine. Yeah. And last but not least, Josiah, Eagles beat the Dolphins 31-17. The Eagles defense is legit. The Georgia players, the Georgia defense out there is great. And after this, I think the Dolphins have a ways to go. I mean, they're in the AFC, so they don't have too much to worry about. But I don't know, maybe they do. Maybe they do. The NFC has some really tough defenses, but they don't have to worry about the Eagles anymore after this. They do have to worry about the Jets, though. And if the Patriots have figured it out on defense, they're going to have to worry about them. So are the Dolphins going to be okay? Or do we need to start talking about the Dolphins and have teams figured out this offense?
The Dolphins are an odd team to me because they had 70-20, the Broncos. They beat them 70-20.
Their offense is great. Tyreek Hill is probably going to set some records this year.
And then they lost 48-20 the next week.
Yeah, and they can't figure it out. And then they get beat by the Eagles. And the Eagles are one of the top teams in the NFL. They can't compete with the top teams in the NFL. That's not a good sign.
No, I mean, that's the thing is they've played the Chargers, the Patriots, the Broncos, the Bills, the Giants, the Panthers, and the Eagles. The two good teams there, the legitimate great teams that they've played, are Bills and Eagles, and they lost both of them by relatively significant margins. They beat everyone else. They beat the Chargers. They beat the Patriots by a touchdown. They demolished the Broncos on a historic scale. They beat the Giants pretty well, and they doubled the Panthers' points. But they're demolishing bad teams and pooping the bed against good teams.
Oh, well, against good defensive teams, they can't put it together. And so that's why I say I think there needs to be a little talk about the Dolphins and their lack of consistency on the offensive end against good defensive teams. So when I say that the Jets have the best chance to win this, I think, let me put it this way. The Jets might be the best team in that division based off of how teams perform against other teams. Like Bills, very inconsistent offensively, are going to struggle against the Jets defense. Dolphins struggle against good defenses. Patriots, low scoring affair, but can't figure it out offensively. They're going to struggle. So the Jets defense might make them the best team in this division. However, they don't beat the bad teams. You know, the Jets can't, where the Dolphins blowing out the bad teams. Right. So it's going to be, that division is going to be very interesting. It went from this is the best division, obviously, in the NFL to it's going to be very interesting because none of these teams can figure it out and are consistent. So who's going to come out on top? Yeah,
it's very strange. But I will say this, the Dolphins could easily make the playoffs and maybe even win this division because they don't have a ton of good defenses on their schedule. I mean, the Patriots maybe, obviously, you know, that's a weird thing. The Chiefs will probably beat them, but the Raiders, then the Jets, Commanders, Titans, Jets, Cowboys, like they they should win most of those games.
Yeah.
So the Dolphins, they have a relatively easy schedule going forward to me. It's between them and Buffalo for me for the division, just because I don't think the Jets will be able to rely on their defense every game to win them the game. But I mean, look, if they can, if the Jets defense is really all that, dude, more power to them. I love a good defensive team.
I'm telling you, Josiah, watch. Speaking
All
of
right.
good defenses, we're going to see one tonight in the 49ers. Well, let me say this. Good defensive line in the 49ers. They play the Vikings tonight. Who you got, Josiah, winning that game?
49ers versus Vikings.
49ers are 7-point favorites.
I'm going to give it to the Brock Purdy-led 49ers. Now, look, don't get me wrong. The Vikings are a good team, and they have a chance here. They have a legitimate shot. Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. People always talk like mid-tier quarterbacks. Like Kirk Cousins is the guy they always bring up. That dude is not a middle-class quarterback. At the very least, he's upper middle class. That dude he's pretty good. He is pretty good, and they have an okay team. They're missing a few pieces right now, but the Vikings have a chance, but I'm giving it to the 49ers.
Yeah, I think the only chance the Vikings have tonight, I do want to take the 49ers -7. But at the same time, I want to stay away from the 7. Hopefully you got in on this earlier. I don't know what the line was earlier. But the 49ers' weakness on defense is their secondary. And that's all the Vikings do is they throw the ball around. That's it. They can't run the ball. They can't do it. So can they take advantage of a weaker secondary in San Francisco? And that's why I think the Vikings have a shot at this game tonight. And I think it's going to be a very entertaining game. The 49ers, they're going to move a ball. They're going to move the ball, and they're going to score points against a weak Vikings defense. But the Vikings offense will keep them in this game because they're able to throw it all over the field. Now, without Justin Jefferson, we'll see how this goes. So, does Addison step up? Does Alexander Madison step up running the ball? We're going to see what happens. I think there's a lot of questions on this side of the ball. When the Vikings are on offense and the 49ers are on defense, can they stop them? I agree with you, though. I'm going to take 49ers to win this game, but I'm going to stay away from any betting on this game when it comes to the points. I don't want any part of it. I don't know how this game is going to go. All right, let's move on to MLB. So Phillies just love hitting home runs. They hit another 3 home runs in the game, and they go up 3-2. Aaron Nola is on the mound tonight for the Phillies. I'm with Aaron Nola on the mound. I mean, they just ripped the same starter last time. I think the Phillies win tonight. They should win tonight and take this in 6. Josiah, do you think any differently?
No.
Kyle Schwarber's an absolute stud. I mean, the guy rakes. He either hits a home run or he hits a dribbler to third base down the third base line where they've shifted a little bit and it's an easy infield single. that was his hit last time. Astros Rangers play game 7 tonight. The Rangers, after being up 2-0, dropped 3 games, and now they won yesterday 9-2. This is tough, man. I mean, they take it. They're back in Houston. Houston at Astros place. What is it? Minute Maid Park. This is going to be a tough one. I mean, I would love to see the Rangers win because I'm sick of watching the Astros all the time. But this is good baseball. Who do you have tonight? Astros or Rangers?
Tonight, oh man, I'm gonna take. I want to take the Rangers really bad, but my gut's telling me the Astros. My gut is telling me the Astros.
Yeah, I agree.
At a score of like 3-1, or like 7-3.
I'm down. Okay. On the mound is Max Scherzer for the Rangers. Max Scherzer is 0-1 with an ERA of 11 in the postseason right now. He's struggling. Javier is starting for the Texans. He's 2-0 with an ERA of 1.7. And he's pitched almost 11 innings already in the postseason. That's why I think the Houston Astros have the advantage. If Max Scherzer can figure it out, though, he's only pitched 4 innings. But if he can figure it out, the Rangers definitely win this game if it's Max Scherzer of old. But based off of, if I'm going to use recency bias, Astros win this game by 3 runs. Astros win this game 3-1, 5-2. I go Astros 5-2.
All right,
and then
good with that.
Then we get a Phillies Astros, but I want it to be if I was going to pick, I want it to be Diamondbacks Rangers, but it's going to be the opposite of that. And I have no problem with the Phillies making it. Whoever makes out of the NL, I'm going to be cheering for. By the way,
fair. Fair.
All right, some soccer news. Tyler Adams, U.S. midfielder, is out 5 months after surgery. This is a bummer. We've missed him. We've talked about the lack of depth at the midfield position, but now it's time for the U.S. to find and scout for a replacement midfielder. It's going to be really hard to find someone that can play at his level, but we need it. We saw it in the friendlies. We're missing that in the midfield. Now's the time to go find somebody. Let's work on doing this. I'm a big fan of U.S. men's soccer, but we've been struggling in this area, and without Tyler Adams, we're going to hurt. I mean, maybe you can move Pulisic to where Tyler Adams plays, but we need him scoring goals. and he was from that position in the friendlies, but we can't rely on him back there.
No,
we need more pressure.
Rough news for us. We need to start looking. I will say this. I do not personally know enough about the rising U.S. soccer stars to say, oh, I think this guy would be a good replacement. But we definitely need to be looking around for some midfielders right now. That being said, speaking of American soccer.
Yeah, let's stay in American soccer. What? Messi missed the playoffs, dude.
Messi missed the playoffs. He missed the MLS playoffs, which is crazy news. Everyone heard Messi was going to be playing in the MLS, and they immediately thought, oh my gosh, that's going to be domination. He's going to make these American guys look like middle schoolers. And don't get me wrong, he did well. 11 goals, 14 games, that's not bad.
Very good.
Messi did well. He went his team in the games that he played in, there was 14 matches he played in. They went 8-2-4. And 7 of those matches were on the team's run to win its first ever trophy, the League's Cup. And I read that straight out of an article by ESPN. But that is that is true. That's Inter Miami's first ever trophy. And so what that means is, yes, they missed the playoffs, but Messi didn't join the team until already halfway through the season. When he joined, Inter Miami was at the very bottom of the freaking, they might have been last place. If not, they were close to it. They weren't doing well. They went 1-3-3 in 7 matches after he joined the club when he wasn't playing. So that's 8-2-4 with him, 1-3-3 without him. They did way, way better. That's a difference of 1 player, dude. 8-2-4, 1-3-3. That's a huge, huge difference.
I saw someone on social media say that this was going to stain Messi's career, The fact that he couldn't make it to the MLS playoffs. Some of these people don't understand soccer and how these things work. They don't even know that Messi joined halfway through the season. They don't know this. This actually helps Messi. This is not a stain on his career.
He had a hamstring injury, so he didn't play in like a bunch of games. If he hadn't had that hamstring injury, Inter Miami probably makes the playoffs. Like, that's the thing. Yeah. He made so much of a difference that there was a difference between them having a winning or a losing season. He made the difference between a win and a loss in every single game that he played in. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm super glad he didn't play against Atlanta United because we'll take the win. But I say that one of my friends was at the game hoping to see Messi play. So, it would have been nice for him to get to see Messi play. But that being said, unfortunately, he didn't, and we won. So, it's been very cool seeing him play in the MLS with some players like DeAndre Yedlin, who's on the U.S. men's national team, with Josef Martinez, who played in Atlanta United for a long time. Even Sergio Busquets moved over here.
Yeah. Do you think that after this season, Messi made a statement to the rest of the world that says, hey, we could play good soccer? Did he change the narrative of the MLS at all, being the retirement league? Because let's face it, MLS has always been the retirement league for international players. I agree. Even though he had a good season when he was on the field, it's still going to be the retirement league. There's not enough.
That's the problem. That's the problem. Is there's not enough hype, as you said. There's not enough hype in the US, and when one player that, don't get me wrong, Messi does make a difference on every team he's ever been on, every game he's ever played in. Messi makes a difference. Like, definitely makes a huge difference. But when you can carry your entire team in or out of the playoffs based on whether or not one person on the team are playing, that's kind of rough look for the league. I mean, it's not a great look. It's like, oh, we have no one who can compete with Messi. We have no one over here. Which, I mean, let's be real. We all knew that already. We all knew that already. It's Messi, and this is America. Right now, we are not good at soccer right now. We are getting there if we get rid of Berhalter. But we're getting there,
change the way things are set up in the United States for sports.
Yes, we absolutely do. We absolutely do. That being said, though, I've seen a lot of memes saying, I don't know if you've heard, but flag football is coming to the Olympics in 2028.
Yeah.
So not next year, but the Olympics after that. But I've seen a lot of memes saying, like a very shocked looking like face or whatever. And it says like the rest of the world finding out why we're bad at soccer 1 quarter into our first flag football match. Like Tyreek Hill's out there, OBJ, everybody just destroying the rest of the world. Like some farmer from Turkmenistan. It's like,
poor guy. The last thing in the soccer world, our Yeovil Town update. So our Yeovil Town beat Worthing 2-1 over the weekend. That makes it 8 wins in a row for Yeovil Town. If you're new, we follow Yeovil Town, who is a team in the lower divisions of the English soccer leagues. They're not professional. They're not in the EFL, like where Wrexham is, all that stuff. They're below that. They're even below where Wrexham started. They're 1 division below. But they're in first place. They're at 8 wins in a row. Matt Worthington scored in the 8th minute off a rebound. Then Worthing received a penalty in the 86th minute and tied the game. Then in the 97th minute, Morgan Williams headed the ball off a free kick set piece that Yeovil Town had, and they won the game. And this game was madness. And Yeovil Town still in first place and looking to get promoted, but still early in the season. So we got to keep it up, Yeovil. Come on. If you're interested in following Yeovil Town, we will be doing an update every week on Yeovil Town. So
yes, we're big Glovers fans, so we're hoping to see them succeed. And
also found out that Yeovil, I forget, it's like the North National
League North South.
Yeah,
I think it's National League. I think it's National League North South, and
there's two of them. And then it goes. Then the winners go to the National
and
League.
They go up to the National League, and then the National League is right below the EFL League 2, so
which is considered professional.
But the worst professional. But in America, there's just one professional. There is no worst professional. There's just professional, and they're all worst professional. It would be really interesting to see some MLS teams play against the EFL League 2, League 1, and then Premier League teams.
They'd win. We should win. We should win those games.
Oh, we should win against League 2 teams for sure. But
yeah,
League 1.
Just like you like to keep up with fighting. You had some MMA news.
Yes, I did. Anyone who pays any attention to the MMA already knows about this. UFC 294, Makhachev versus Volkanovski, and it was a card, the main card, full of Chechen fighters, guys from Dagestan, from the North Caucasus. I don't know how you say that. Actually. Caucasian, Caucasus.
Okay.
Anyways, people know what I'm talking about. Some people do. Anyways, it's an area in Russia, and they have a ton of fighters come out of there. And this main card had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different fights. Okay. And every one of them was a Chechen fighter against another guy. And Said Nurmagomedov beat Muin Gafarov. Yeah, this is going to be interesting, isn't it? Beat Muin Gafarov by a guillotine choke, by submission. Then Ikram Aliskarov beat Warley Alves, Brazilian guy, by TKO. Then there was a no contest ruling between Magomed Ankalaev and Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker was super upset about that.
Go ahead, say these names, man. Keep going.
And then Khamzat Shimaev beat Kamaru Usman by mixed decision. And then the main card, Islam Makhachev versus Alexander Volkanovski. Makhachev beat him. So that made the record, by the way, for these Chechen fighters who are already, it's crazy how many Chechen fighters there are in MMA. That made the record in this main card of 5 different fights, all including Chechen fighters. 4 of them won, 1 was a no contest. Guys, these Dagestani fighters are killing people out here, absolutely destroying. And it's fair. Like, people knew it was going to happen. These guys are all guys. I don't know if all, but I'm pretty sure they're all guys who trained with Khabib. I don't know if you know anything about fighting. You know who Khabib is.
Yes.
And yeah, these guys are like all guys that train with Khabib. And they're all winning. They've all got that same beard. They're all just demolishing their opponents.
You can ask,
these guys, yeah. I mean, look, you might not like it, but Dagestan's coming, baby. Russia is coming for your favorite fighter, and they're probably going to pound him into the ground. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. I don't know of any fighters right now that could beat them. It'll be interesting to see them keep going against better and better opponents. I mean,
where's the American farmers? Where's the American
farmers on the farm?
They're all broke. They're on the farm broke.
They
Trying
can't.
to save the family farm.
What are they gonna do? If you're gonna fight, no. You need to go pick some crops, dude. You don't have any money.
It's true. It's true.
In other news, in UFC, in boxing, or sorry, not UFC. A UFC fighter is boxing. Francis Ngannou is going to be fighting Tyson Fury in a boxing match in Saudi Arabia on October 28th. So that's 5 days from now. That's coming up. That'll be interesting. And hopefully there will be some really big boxing matches coming up next year, but I'm not going to talk about those till they're scheduled because I don't want to talk about a bunch of crap that doesn't happen. So,
right.
But anyways, that's the news from the MMA. Dagestan wins at everything.
Now we know where to go to train.
One little tiny section of Russia.
Look, man, if you can survive Russia, where you're fighting bears and Sasquatches and things like that, a human being is nothing to you. That's nothing.
Nothing.
So
nothing.
I get it.
And Conor McGregor versus a bear, I'm a little more scared of the bear.
Well, shoot, I'm more scared of Dagestan than anything. Any fighter that comes out of Dagestan than a bear. So
yeah, true. Khabib versus a bear.
Now that's a fight. That's something I want to see on a card. I'll pay for that one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Have a great week. We'll be here Wednesday to talk about Monday Night Football, some college football games that are going to be playing. And at that point, we will know most likely who is in the World Series. We will know. So it's going to be fun. Stay safe, stay healthy. God bless you guys. See ya.
See ya.